Oh my god. Oh yeah, it's the onion thing. It's awful. I'm just thinking about how, like, the character introduction to Bedeni was that he was totally willing to endure pain for what he believed in, but the sad, twisted irony here is that he has to watch someone else suffer. That may be a masterstroke by Novak. It is idiocy. This is true. Logically, there are so many angles that don't really matter for Novak. That's not his game. That sort of gives him what he wants. That pleading. You'll eventually lie. He'll make something up, and he'll get an answer one way or the other. And he'll enjoy the process as well. He claims that he doesn't enjoy this because it's unpleasant, but that's not true. That too, yeah, it's personal. This is really godly. Again, he doesn't really care. This one random dude in the room may be their best hope, their one saving grace, even though that's a slim chance. Oh. It's not far enough. Oh my god, I don't want to. Then he knows a thing or two about that, and then Ozzy's eyes in the opening. Orb relates to a bunch of things, but one of them, as is clearly laid out by the opening, is the eyes, and more than just the physical eyes, but the seeing, which is some sort of God-given divine skill in itself. And not just physically seeing, but like looking for truth, you know, really seeing. It's the movements of the orb, which is the earth. It's also the movements of their eyes and their vision and how far they can see, how far they're willing to look. This is operating on multiple levels. Obviously, the most horrific and impactful of which is just the actual reality of what he's planning on doing. But it's deeper than that, right? It's like an affront to some goodness, which is some connection to values, though I'm not really sure how the show places this in the hierarchy or how they relate to each other, because so far we have truth and freedom and hope. Not exactly sure how those stack up with each other in the philosophy of the show, but nevertheless, it's an affront to all of those things. It's true evil. Episode 14, Tonight's Sky. Will we be seeing it? Does it look like he's here for faith? Ozzy totally has to let go and accept their fate, as Bedeni said, even though it's Bedeni's choice. Same thing happened to him. The rage. I don't know what you're supposed to do, yeah. Don't be sorry. None of this is your guys' fault. So he actually did preserve them. That's a little bit sentimental of him. It's very unselfish. Rafal. This is true. How does this feel to hear this? That's sort of a huge weight. That's the old Bedeni. I think Rafal scares Novak. Right, yeah. It was pretty unbelievable. Some of the errors, maybe. That's interesting. The audacity and the creativity. Hi. We've really been through it, huh? Oh, you don't have to talk. You burned my book for all the good that did. Right. It's counter to what he said he would do and what he was. He knows. I think also there's more to it than that. This is probably generalizing a bit too much, but I think one of the issues with Bedeni and one of the areas for growth for him is sort of that pull between him being very clear and having tapped into something very beautiful and much bigger than himself, right? The service to God. But there's this conflicting force of it's about him, you know? The way he approaches this beautiful thing is through his own like personal glory and self-satisfaction and stuff, which is great, you know? Like, fine. There are way, way worse things you could do. There are way worse modes of being. Where that becomes an issue, though, is when those two things come into conflict. So the pursuit of the higher thing, the most beautiful thing you know, is trapped behind that more individualistic, selfish, for lack of a better word, type of thinking. So, for example, Bedeni wanting to serve God through the movement of information, but also needing it to be him, not wanting it to fall into anyone else's hands. And it's weird because sometimes it will still feel like you're pursuing the noblest, best thing, but it's still being funneled through that more personal, self-interested lens of what that means. So I think it's pretty easy to root for their search for truth, but there's a point at which there are maybe more important things in front of you than like your specific contributions to heliocentrism in this very moment. Maybe for a moment in this specific situation, we forget about like how important heliocentrism is and all our quests and everything we've put behind this personally and all it's meant to us, and just like stop Oxy from losing his eye. You know, it's very simple. It's not as lofty, but just as a viewer, it's a relief to me. It feels good watching it. And it feels like a categorical shift in thinking for Bedeni in a way that feels like growth. And I think in a somewhat indirect, roundabout way, what Oxy was saying feeds into this with the whole, we could just be wrong, which I'm interpreting more broadly to be like, it's not our job to like solve everything in some final way. It's our job to do our best and do the right thing moment to moment and be as rigorous as we can and approach things with as good and faithful and hopeful and benevolent of a heart as we can. And inevitably we will get some things wrong, but like we will have made the contribution that we were meant to make, and that's beautiful. So, but then he doesn't know what will happen with heliocentrism. He doesn't know if he's totally right. He doesn't know if it's even a good thing to reveal this to the world right now, whatever. But like, he knows the pain of losing an eye, and Oxy is his friend. For the birding? Imagine having to put these clothes on yourself.
Oh yeah,
the executioner has become the executed. He seems to be somewhat at peace with it.
12歳だ。12? そんな、まさか。
He took his own life.
つまりこの世では予想外の事態が起こるってことだ。
Is his faith? Is his hope?
地動説はまだ終わってない。
It isn't, because it exists in the reality of the world and the universe. I mean, it would be great narratively if their contributions directly led to some major innovation in heliocentrism research. Like, if the next character in the show just directly stood on their shoulders, that would be great. But I almost feel like it doesn't necessarily have to be the case for their lives to have had meaning and for all this to have had meaning. And I think the show has spoken to this to some degree, though it's a lot more abstract and it's more difficult. It's harder to feel satisfied by because it's a little bit more indirect and obtuse. Well, I guess there are a bunch of ideas in here. One of them is, like I was saying, it's not even really about us, you know, especially for something like this. It just is what it is in the stars, and our role is to be the presenters of this thing, but we're not creating it, right? We're not the ones moving the earth, as they sometimes phrase it. The earth is moving, and there is perhaps some service in creating a clear map of reality for which other humans can use. Nothing is really being created though, right? It's just there. And so we're more vehicles than we are creators. And so if you've done that really well and honorably, maybe that is the judgment and not the result. That's an individual, personal judgment of like, I did my best to be like the best avatar of whatever, some kind of greatness, some kind of divinity that I could be. Another thing, to take it into the more tangible, is that they probably will have effects directly on heliocentrism just because of the things they've done with other people. I mean, just for example, with Yolenta and the person who turned them in, and like Novak himself knowing. While these are maybe not directly traceable to improvements in these fields, they are influences in this field. Even if like initially they're detractors, there's still influences, there's still inputs into this field. And like, because the truth has its own gravity and own weight, I think it will eventually sort them out into things that are productive to those things. The show has made this point of wrong answers can contribute. Because you spend resources on a wrong answer enough times only to go backwards and not get what you want. Well, that's not going to continue forever because there's a limitation to resources. There are naturally built-in incentives at just so many levels of existence, whether that's human or just axiomatically evolution and natural selection. There are forces pushing things in a certain direction, right? And so the negative things are, in a sense, feedback of like, well, this just goes nowhere, or it's just wrong, or it's counter to whatever aim on whatever level. And then finally, one of the things I like about the reflections for Oxy, I think it was last episode, through his dream, was the idea that actually maybe this isn't isn't really about a contribution to heliocentrism anyway. There are so many aspects of life, and there are things that are maybe arguably deeper than heliocentrism, like values of the divine, you know, values of God, for lack of a better word, or whatever it is that Oxy is tapping into, even if those things also are very hard to trace, or maybe harder to trace than scientific inputs. Those are very clear, maybe clearer inputs for Oxy in this world that he exists in that will ripple out. Whether Yolenta ever does anything else with their research or their knowledge, she'll remember Oxy. And Novak will remember Oxy. And Novak will remember Naval. He clearly made an impact on him. And there may be a time when Novak realizes or is able to see in the level of depth they see, and they will be there. They will still be alive very directly in him. And everyone who witnessed them.
全てがうまくいけば文章は復元される。
Is it Yolenta?
あんな大量の論文いつの間に。
私のじゃない。
Yours? Oh,
復元され
wait.
るのは
He copied the book. I had a feeling. I didn't burn it.
なぜ
Nobody had it memorized.
私は自分の成果を残すつもりはないからな。
But I can hand your work. Your peasant
で
work.
も
そうでなくとも私のものは大量すぎて複製する暇はなかった。君の文章は論文としての価
This is
値
very
はないが
magnanimous of him in his
それに
way.
伝わる可能性は高いだろ
It was for the common man. Maybe it's better than mine. You
う。
had
それ
something
さえ残せれば
special.
あとは自然と立ち上がる。
Right.
しかし
It just takes a spark.
何かを残したところでバデーニさんの利益にならないのでは。
実は全くその通りだ。
And I'm damn pissed off about that.
不思議なものでそれを無益だと判断しない領
There,
域も
yeah,
あ
there
る
just
そう
may
だ。
be. There just may be a realm in which it's not useless.
歴史とやらがそうらしい。
I mean, that thing that got us to where we are now. You know, the shoulders that we ourselves stood on, we can become.
主の名において我々は汝らを告発する。
I condemn you. I condemn all of you. I kind of want Bedeni to like be up here and debate with them.
うまくいく可能性ってどれくらいなんです？
非常に低い。
I'll take it.
それは素晴らしい。最後に期待のしがいがある。
That's a beautiful way of putting that.
これで我々も地獄の
Why
入
does
り
this
口
feel
に
so happy nonetheless?
いや、
ああ
Or like whatever the opposite of tragedy is.
だが
展開のですよ。
That's why, yeah.
今俺の目の前に広がるこれが地獄の入り口って景色には見えない。
It doesn't.
今日のこの空は
It's the night sky. At least we made it outdoors.
綺麗だ。
It's more than the stars that he's
それ
seeing.
を信じることにするか。
歴史が君を必要としたからだ。
私が死んでもこの世界は続く。だったらそこに何かを託せる。
この世界は
All these influences. Oh, I like this. They're individual reflections. They're moments. He was watching Oxy do it. It's the eye that Bedeni saved. Ugh. Ugh.
じゃあ火にかけておいて
There's nothing getting in at all. Nothing. There's nothing there. 2 shooting stars. That's half the episode? My god. I like how Bedeni, in the most Bedeni way possible, he managed to have the change of heart and the growth while still completely being Bedeni through and through, giving up a lot while simultaneously never giving up an inch. It's pretty great. Also, I mean, the character journey of Oxy, pretty phenomenal. There's just so many cool things about it. A weird one that comes to mind is that his journey actually ends up being similar in some ways from Naval, despite the fact that they're very different. There's something sort of universal about it, or universally accessible. Whatever the walk of life, it's maybe because the thing is bigger than one person and because it's sort of true, like the movements of the heavens or whatever. There is some kind of like naturally formed system of goodness that is just there, right? And humans can experience it and refine their understanding of it, but don't create it. I mean, I think that is behind what we get out of media, right? Like how we can have a common understanding of media, even if there's some variance and disagreement. I mean, there is still that common thread that runs through it that we all don't need to explain to each other. You know, we can kind of feel it and see it. And then maybe it's just a matter of like to what level of depth and clarity, but nevertheless, it's there. Oxy, you know, not a 12-year-old boy, also an executioner, sort of ends up with the same sad but not tragic final moments that we saw with Naval, where he's seeing more than just the obvious, you know, the things that are in front of his eyes, the way that most people would think. The self-centered, I'm struggling with a term for this, but like just the individualistic, the through my eyes and that is the thing, the highest thing. Sort of reversing that to like, it's not about me at all, but I'm lucky to experience this and observe it. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be a part of it. I'm happy to have been able to be in service to something so amazing. One of the things I think is so beautiful about these characters that I think kind of got a little bit more clarity with Oxy is that idea of something like, I don't have to solve it. You know, it's not a thing I will complete myself and get the glory. There will be a triumphant climax and then roll credits and like, that's the end, you know? More like, this is an ongoing, endless thing that's beautiful. So my role is to contribute to it, to play a part in it. And I'm happy to like be able to see it. And Oxy's view of it has been very interesting to me because it gave me something new to think about in this of like, well, anybody can be convicted in what they're doing and think that is like the holy fight. I mean, that's the issue with the church or some of these members. And Oxy's answer is sort of like, well, if you really are doing it in the purest way you can, then like, yeah, that's going to happen. And that's maybe by design. And that's maybe overall part of that beautiful process. You never are going to be the one to be totally correct and have all the answers. Not only because that's too difficult for a human being, but just because like there are also some things that are in stages, like some things are just temporary, right? Like society is where it is now and it's making the best of the situation now. And so while there is a overall objective moral current running through in terms of like a will of the universe maybe and a goal and things we can definitely say are better or worse than others, how we address any specific moment to moment problem is perhaps to some degree determined by or influenced by the circumstances of our time and the level of knowledge that we currently have. So your goal is to do your best with that. And because it doesn't end with you, leave the tinkering of that and the sorting out of that to the future generation, standing on the wrong that you've built in that whole process. If you honestly, genuinely are doing it to your best, you know, you really aren't ignoring those cries of like, this is really evil and this feels wrong, like the witness did in the execution chamber. I know Novak knows what he's doing is wrong. He's just making excuses. That feeling you get when you know there's something you don't know, but you speak confidently about something anyway because you want to win or you want to advance your tribe's cause or whatever. If you're really doing none of those bad things and fully doing your best all the time, in that case, it probably is okay to be wrong. It probably is okay to be incomplete because you're actually doing the best or as close to the best as you could with what you have. And so that is a full expression of the forces for good given the current moment, given what we currently have to work with. And that will push things forward one step. And then people that come after us will stand on the things we've built and will like fine tune it and move things one step at a time. It's a much more zoomed out, less selfish, holistically sound, I think, viewpoint on this whole process. And if it's really well with something introduced early on in the show of the idea of wrong answers, you know, they're not terrible. Then finally, just their friendship. It's such a beautiful thing. They're so different. And that's largely what makes it so amazing and makes it work. Again, their obvious differences aside, it's the commonality, their common essence of beauty that I think makes them gravitate towards each other and makes their journey so compelling. They're just different starting points, totally different people, kind of being gripped by this same primal force. They each push each other to grow in ways that they're limited in their thinking and abilities, to the point where, you know, Oxy becomes a scholar, but then he becomes somewhat sentimental. And as sad as their death is, it's not tragic because they go out fully hit with the awe and beauty of the universe they've been so obsessed with while being side by side.
信仰って一体何だと思う？信仰っていうか、教会っていうか。
What if they're next? That'd be interesting.
どうしたんだ急に。
What are you? You're a heretic?
時々
Do I need to report you?
わからなくなるんだ。
Here we go.
僕らは毎日人を痛めつけ
Every
て。
day. Good lord. There's no rest. There's that many heretics?
相手は異端や魔女。
Right.
悪党じゃないか。
Of course. That makes it okay.
その通り。
Right. Obviously. That's what the doctrine says.
じゃあなんでこんなに胸が
I
痛むんだ
love what you're doing. I love what you're going through. I love this for you. Please stop saying this out loud here.
早速仕事しよう。
What are we doing? What kind of work?
何のご用でしょうか。
Uh-oh. I don't think she knows what
どうも
happened.
あなたがヨレンタさんで。
ええ。
我々はあなたのお父様の
Does
後輩
Novak
です。
know they're here? I feel like he maybe doesn't.
何をされてる方なんです？
Oh.
それはその
It's a big assignment.
異端審問官です。
Don't show it. Don't show. No, don't take a step back.
一旦。
ええ。
I guess we can feign that it's shock at learning that my father is an inquisitor. This is a private inquiry. Novak wouldn't be absent.
もちろん逮捕とかじゃないので。
Oh
ご安心
no,
を
they're picking up his habits.
ご友人のお二人と
He's
会
trained them
食され
too
た
well.
そこにお父様も訪ねてきたと思う
That
のです
subtle art
が
of putting them at ease while also making them more
そ
nervous.
の二人が異端と判明したんです。
Yeah, I'm sorry. You had to find out this way this time.
その手の怪しい話をしてたとか何か心当たり
Surely
あり
you
ますか
rehearsed this situation, right? You have
もし
answers
後日
prepared?
我々
Yeah,
が
thank
捕まったとしても
God.
君は無関係を貫け。
Right. Well, nothing, I don't know, maybe a red herring would be better.
私は何も。
That's suspicious because how do you explain your
そうですか。
your
しか
friendship?
しよく思い出してください。
This is like right out of the Novak playbook. The gestures and all. Only thing missing is some nervous laughter.
まあそうでしょ。
Yeah, this is so Novak.
常に限って異端と協力なんて
That would be too
あり
crazy.
えない話だ。
Ha ha ha.
あそこにいたのはノバクの娘
Oh, he hates Novak.
ええ、異端の二人と関わ
I
って
want
い
you
た
to
の
dig in
で、
as deeply as possible.
やはり何も知らないようなので、もうお引き取りいただこうかと。
Oh no. Oh no. I have a bad feeling about this.
じゃあ
Yeah, this is personal. He doesn't care.
拷問の準備をしたまえ。
This is about getting back at Novak.
女性が研究者を志すなんて
What does this do to
そ
Novak?
の時点で怪しさしかない。私の考えでは
The leader! That's ambitious.
というより正確には彼女に取り付いた悪魔だ。
True, she could be a witch. That would explain everything. This is so just like transparently personally motivated.
家で禁止されるほど強く惹かれる。よくあるんだ。その手の事例は。
Whatever, yeah.
しかし、
Okay.
ああ、確か君だったか。聞いたよ。研修中に拷問を拒否したんだって。
That's weak, son.
結局そいつは黒だったとか。
I mean, yes, they're all guilty. Has anyone ever turned out to be innocent at the point of torture? How would you even determine that, since you like keep going till they fake a confession? Speaking of games, Novak, he missed this person. He missed this angle. He missed this coworker.
自分の言動が他人にどういう印象を与えるか。その
Weakness.
結果、君の将来に何をもたらす
You're
か。
weak and God is laughing at you.
分かったら早く用意しろ。
Think about that, you plebs. This time, I'm definitely gonna torture the woman.
いい手袋してるな。
ちょっと
And?
何してるんですかこれは。
今から君を尋問する。
尋問。
I feel so bad for Yolenta. Revulsion at this aside, I'm so curious what this does to Novak. This is his whole thing. He now will become a heretic, almost definitely, right? Because he's going to oppose this. He doesn't care about the church. He cares about Yolenta. This is going to bring all that to a very, very clear head. But this also, I mean, he's not the most thoughtful person. What it might do is make him consider the fact that she is now in the position that he put so many other people in. Maybe there's some reflection to be had there.
さっきも言った通り、私は何も知りま
We
せん。
need more than
初
that.
めは皆そういう。
Yeah, I don't know. Not the best preparation. I guess they didn't know that.
女性はおしゃべりだろう。その口で悪
All
魔
right,
と
just do it.
契
Just pull my
約
teeth out, whatever.
災いを生じさ
Okay,
せ
yeah,
ると
just,
の
just
話
yeah,
があ
okay,
る。
just okay, fine, fine. Listening to you is torture.
おい、嘘だろ。
Again?
君ら本当に審問官か？
Failed to torture a woman twice? It's weak, son.
わかったよ。
You failed God once again. Oh, I hate this. Ugh. I liked it better when they didn't show it. It's still terrible without showing it.
じゃあ続きは任せた。
Which one was the weak one again? I can't remember. This is sort of a line of no return for them. I mean, they've already crossed the line. But like, the deeper they go past the
やめ
line,
てください。
the harder it is to turn back. There's a lot of momentum here. Forget your orders, man. He's doing it half-heartedly, but that's not what makes it worse.
攻めにしないか。顔見たくない。
Also, leaving them both in this room to figure this out, the two of them, is just evil. Just evil. They're two just thoughtless, stupid kids egging each other on for evil.
これで奴を潰せる。
Oh, this is so great. Surely you won't do it
娘を異端にすれ
now.
ばノバクは終わりだ。
And then we'll save money? They'll save a lot of money on the budget. Yeah, jealousy. He's a little bit too good at his job,
彼
despite
に
not
不
being
祥事があ
religious.
れば、彼と懇意にしていた司教の評価にも。
Oh, we're trying to take down the
ひびが入る
bishop, the whole bishop.
そしたら私の存在感も
I
大
see.
きくなる。
Power game.
これで組織をもっと正しい方向へ導けるぞ。
Well, I'm sure it'll be in good hands with folks like these. Finally, God's vision for humanity can come true. Hallelujah.
保守的な姿勢では食っていけない。
Make a living. Think of the money we'll make.
すまない。
Bro, I don't think we should do this. I just heard something.
君が取ってきてくれないか。
Oh, he's not even telling him. He's just gonna help her. I know what this looks like, but, you know, just give it a minute. There you go.
逃げるぞ。このままだと君は殺される。
You're being used as a pawn. I mean, it happens to be correct that you are a heretic, but where do you go? Both of you, where do you go? Maybe this is the new character. This is brave. I mean, this might lead to his death. He's a
残って
heretic.
みんなに敬意を説明します。きっと分かって
You should explain to
くれるはずだ。
Novak. Novak,
あなたは
Novak.
なぜこんなことを。
explain to her, who will explain to Novak, don't just leave it up into the hands of this dude, the money dude.
何だと思いますか。
He's been struggling.
僕は生き方だと思います。
Poor kid. He's just, good kid just in the totally wrong hands, wrong institution. I can't believe I'm like thinking that Novak is going to be the one to right this path. But, you know, for Yolenta, for this particular injustice, this can be punished just by getting this information to the bishop. This was such an insane episode, but like already, the legacy continues. Not even in heliocentrism. I think it's turning out that heliocentrism is kind of just like the focus. It's the MacGuffin, the tangible thing we're fixated on to explore. But like really, it's so much more than that. It could be anything at any time. And I think one by one, we're seeing characters who pursue that earnestly and in good faith, no matter how different their personalities or circumstances are. They end up reaping the same treasures.